know, it's great when you record a 20-minute video and realized you were recording in the wrong lens. So this is the second time I'm making this. We'll try to make it not as long. We're going to talk about the Rota. I'm going to read the statement from MachineWise. I could probably even get it really close. I'm going to read the statement from MachineWise, which has actually changed since yesterday. Yesterday was July 31st. They've made another updated response on August 1st, which is way different from the 31st. I wish I would have saved it. And yeah, we're just going to chat a little bit about what's going on. I'm going to show you the assembly process for the Rota and why it's so difficult, because I got to tell you, the reason why is the pitch thread. These things are so finely threaded compared to any other product you're going to find out there. And yeah, so let's just kick it off with the Rota update. So first off, this is from MachineWise. First off, thank you for your consistent support in helping us make MachineWise the company it is. We're grateful for the passion of this community around us, especially as our primary motivation for the organization is as enthusiasts ourselves. That was weird. Me, not them. We'd like to address some of the feedback we've heard regarding the Rota. This is the Mojave, though. The Rota. Here's some of the common suggestions we've heard. MachineWise should outsource the Rota. No, this runs contrary to the core ethos of the company. Manufacturing in-house is what makes MachineWise MachineWise, and I agree with that totally. I love that they want to keep things in-house. We should spin off. See what I'm doing there? We should spin off the Rota brand. No. The pen design is currently not ready for mass production. It is something we may consider in the future after re-engineering. I hope they don't. I hope they just keep it. Honestly, if you were to send it out to other people, they're not going to get this right. They're going to fuck it up. And then people are going to be like, this design sucks. And it's like, no, they suck. Whoever's making it, not MachineWise. MachineWise should scale up to produce the Rota. Here's the thing. When they first made the Rota, they were 4 people. One guy, NRB, not a real boy, but I think he is. He was the guy making all of them, Garrett. He's a really cool dude. He makes balisongs too, and he started working for MachineWise, to just do the assembly of the Rotas. Now they've expanded to making folders, and they're primarily a knife maker, guys. And everyone's like, oh, but they bought the lathe just to make the Rota. No, they said they would make pens to further justify the lathe, and the lathe was originally purchased to make hardware. And the hardware they make is crazy finely pitched. This is a screw from the Mojave. It's super finely pitched. Like, you're not going to be able to see it because I'm not going to be able to show it enough, but the pitch on this is so insanely finely threaded. You have no idea. So that's part of the difficulty with the Rota assembly, is that they keep that same pitch on the threading. So MachineWise should scale up to produce the Rota. If only it were so simple. The Rota, in its most recent production run, has taken too long in assembly to be viable. So it's the assembly process, okay? And I'm gonna disassemble and reassemble it. At MachineWise, quality is our #1 priority. We won't compromise on any of our products. Part of that is why they went away from using aluminum in their balisongs. The anodization that they were getting from the place they were sending it out to anodize wasn't consistent enough. And anodizing aluminum is actually more like dyeing aluminum, and it's just more intense, and you have to have a whole different setup. So they switched to focusing on titanium. R.I.P. Slift. Real one. Cool. Moving on. Next one is raise the price of the Rota. Now, this is an interesting one. Yesterday, they had a comment saying that it was a 300-ish pen. And the funny thing is, it is. It is a 300-ish pen. I got my Rota for about $170, $172, using the Will Hirsch Gay code, but it was originally $185 when it launched, which is pretty expensive. expensive for a pen, right? Now it's priced at $250 if you go to their website, obviously not available. So with that, $250, they said yesterday that was a 300-ish pen. $250 is 300-ish because it's on, if you round up, which is what you often do once you get past 2.5 or half a number, round it up, that would be 300-ish, okay? I think they would be more than fair charging $300 because it is in line with the machining quality of a Saga, which everyone thinks is overpriced anyway, but that's fine. Or the Epica, which again, maybe people think is overpriced, but I do think the machining quality is line. And honestly, it's not too far off from where other titanium pens are priced, like the Dragonskin Focus Works, or, gotta make sure we grab the right Q3D, a Q3D. So Q3D is, getting up there. Actually, Q3D offers crazy value on his pens. I don't know how he does it, but let's grab something like a Confounded Machine. They're up in that price range. So I think knowing the level of quality that they're offering, as well as we're going to show you the assembly, it's not so easy to just raise the price. So we don't plan to pass the price of a long assembly time on to our customers. Our goal is to make rotas as cost effective as possible to produce and manufacture. So a big thing in yesterday's update that is now maybe time machined somewhere. Yesterday they said, about the assembly time, and they said the 300-ish or whatever. I think it's going to be about how they. Let's go ahead and just start disassembling it while I read the last one. We don't plan to pass the price along. Okay, so as pen enthusiasts, we thought a MachineWise pen would be great. Great fit and new design challenge. The Rota's first manufacturing run, however, has turned out to be more labor intensive than expected. We've decided the Rota needs a redesign for the future production scale manufacturing. The Rota is not dead, it just needs time. So we ask for your patience with the process. We will not take money for orders, pre-orders, etc. until this product is 100%. We greatly appreciate your continued interest. When it's ready to launch, we promise our loyal customers will be the first to know. Now, I wasn't, trying to do that as fast as I could, but the time it took me to read that was the time it took to get the top off, okay? Now, the top comes apart in several pieces, okay? You've got this brass piece, which goes on top of the refill and kind of helps spin it around, okay? Then you've got these other pieces, but to get to these other pieces, I actually have to unscrew the clip. You can see the clip is on here, but I can't just pull it off. The clip is threaded. So you have to unthread the clip, and I showed you guys that it was finally threaded. So this whole thing, this comes out. And you can see how this would just be such a fumbling process. And then I've got this little brass coupler that's coming out here. And so this is just disassembly. So we've got all these parts. I'm getting this off. And again, that's just to get the clip out. And I'm not exaggerating this, guys. With that fine of a pitch in your threading, you don't want to go super crazy fast on it. You don't want to have machines where you're that's how you're going to get it cross-threaded, and it's going to fuck up the threading. So these are all put together by hand. So we've got one, this is the top piece. We've got two, this is the middle piece that the top piece goes into, okay? And mind you, this is all lubed up right now, and I've been using this for over a year. This has been my primary pen for over a year, okay? So when these are freshly machined, even lubed up, it's going to be hard to get those into each other because they're still high tolerances, okay? They're not just pop right in there right off the machine. They're having to get this lined up just right. And even if they made the special tools, it's still going to be difficult, okay? So that's there. Then you've got to put this guy on. So, and this is one of the brass pieces. I'm sure that's highly in focus there, but this pops on. And again, it's easy for me to get it on because my pen is broken in, okay? But when they're doing this fresh, it all takes even more effort, okay? Now, this little C brass coupler, whatever you would call it, that has to be on before I start threading the clip back on. So this is now like, that's reassembled, and I'm doing this all while I'm talking to you guys, so hopefully you're kind of like looking at the time that it's taking me to reassemble this. Now I gotta screw this clip back on, and that's with that brass thing in there, because the little C brass thing has to be on, otherwise once you screw it on, there's not enough clearance. Okay, so you guys can just see like, okay, there's like little improvements that need to be made with this design. I don't know why that C thing needs to be there, but it's there for a reason. All these parts are there for a reason, and they need to go back into the design to see, okay, do they need to be there? Could we integrate the clip? Could we do this? Could we do that? It would be very difficult. So they're going back to the drawing board to figure that out. So now we're gonna put this back in. Oh golly, and that's just the mechanism part. So it's easier if you hold it up. But mind you, when they're doing this, they want to make sure that they're not going to scratch the body of the pen, you know? Because like me, I'm using this pen, so I would prefer not to have a scratch on it, but like I don't need to have the same carefulness because I already own this pen, right? They need to make sure that everything stays perfect. So they need to be even more careful, okay? And I'm getting that on nice and tight, and they may have like, you know, a special wrench or something to get it torqued correctly. But there we go, now it's finally assembled. Now let's just take off the tip. The tip is similarly threaded. This is me going, you know, relatively quick. Okay, so that's off now. Now we're gonna screw that back on. Now I'll grab my Grimsmo, the Saga. Look at how quick I can get the tip off, comparatively. Okay? And at home, it doesn't matter how long it takes you, but when you're in assembly, you're paying a person to put that together and make sure it's on there right and not gonna get cross-threaded, so that it doesn't get screwed up before it even goes out. So I hope that kind of details it. I was planning on like showing off the other MachineWise products, which I think I kind of did when I was reading the statement. If you guys really want to like see more of them, I've got plenty of videos on the different videos, different knives. Minus this guy, I haven't made a video on this guy, but this is the Mojave. And you know, the Mojave and the Sonora are their new folders, and this is what they're really focused on making. But they don't just make, you know, the scales and the blade, they make all of the hardware too. Where did I put that screw? I had one of the screws out, but like, you know, they make all the extra hardware. They're making the screws. Here it is. You know, so the screw. Anyways, questions, comments, you know, all love for MachineWise, and I think they're making the right decision to do this, and I hope they're able to figure out how to redesign this so that it's not difficult to assemble. But I hope they keep the pitch, because I think that's really one of the things that makes MachineWise. In the video that I've now deleted because it was 20 minutes and not correctly framed, which hopefully this one is. You know, you hear the jokes about the government spending X amount of thousands of dollars on a screw or a wrench. And I used to think that kind of stuff was like funny, because like, oh yeah, they're stupid, why would they do that? Well, the reason is because you need to have crazy high tolerances when you're making an airplane or a special device that's going out somewhere. And like, yes, the government likes to overspend. There is truth to that too. But when you look at these knife companies and pen companies that we're buying from, and they're pricing things, when they're making everything in-house to keep tolerances so high, that kind of tells you why things get so expensive. And I think, honestly, they probably could be charging easily $1,000 for the Mojave. They could be charging $1,000 for the Sonora. No reason they couldn't be. They are actually extremely competitively priced when you compare it to something like a Grimsmo Rask, which is over $1,000, or the Norseman, which again is over $1,000. I can tell you, I am grabbing my Mojave and Sonora more times than I'm grabbing these guys. I got these guys off of was it Knife Swap on Reddit. So I did not pay retail for these. I got these for like $500 each. Anyways, less than what I paid for my Mojave or Sonora, and I pocket these guys way more because I just like them more. I like it more. Cool. So hit me with any comments. I read the statement from MachineWise, which has changed since yesterday, which means they are actively responding to the community, okay? I've seen some people talk about how like they're ignoring direct messages. Guys, they don't owe you a response, first off, but they are paying attention. They've updated their response since yesterday. And I think that's all good. And I think they are making the right decisions. They care about the community. They care about how these things are priced. And they just need to make the right decisions. There was a lot of honesty in yesterday's post about how they just want to survive and make it to that next day. I wish they would have kept it up because it was pretty vulnerable to expose themselves like that. And I think that was really brave of them. And, you know, I'm out here for support. I can't wait to buy the Rota when it comes out. I'm so excited for them. So anyways, have a great weekend, guys. We're all, you know, lucky to be able to be frustrated about a pen, okay? And if you guys really want a Rota, try to shake one loose from the Battle Song community. I think there's definitely folks out there sleeping on their Rotas, not realizing what they have. So, you know, put a WTB post up in the Battle Song communities and see what you can shake loose. Good luck to you all. Have a wonderful weekend. And, you know, peace, love, and prosperity, bros.